So this talk, I was just thinking, what should I do for these 3 classes we have got, 4:30 now and 7:30 in the evening, and then again 7:30 tomorrow. So about 3 hours. And then I thought of something. This actually is related to Swami Yogeshanandaji. Swami Yogeshanandaji, who's all of 96 now. And I'm glad to hear he's doing well. He was doing poorly recently, but he's in our Trabuco monastery, and he's doing well. Many decades ago, in about 40 years ago, he was in our Ganges retreat. It's a retreat ashrama near Chicago. And they had a remarkable visitor, Swami Nishreyashanandaji, who was the founder of our work and the head of our center in South Africa, who was a disciple of Swami Shivananda. Many of the senior monastics, monks and nuns have met him, and many devotees also, senior devotees have met him. I never saw him. But actually I was introduced to his work, a few articles here and there, a few books which are available. And if you read them, you immediately come across a remarkable mind, an extraordinary teacher of Vedanta. Many examples, and some of them I have recycled. You will find them in my talks in different places. But their source is actually Nishreyashanandaji. Anyhow, this Swami came to visit the Ganges retreat about 30 to 40 years ago. Swami Yogeshanandaji was there. And Swami Yogeshanandaji says that when he started teaching, Nishreyashanandaji started teaching, Swami Yogeshananda and other Swamis there, they felt wonderful, this is incredible. I mean, this is something extraordinary, and we have never heard it being taught, the same subject, Vedanta, being taught in this way. So he thought it should be preserved. There's nobody to record it, I guess. He started taking notes and just points here and there. And apparently the Swami was fond of diagrams, it seems. He would keep a board and draw diagrams. So there are some basic diagrams in that, the notes he took. And later he thought it shouldn't be lost, so he published it. And so that's where the story begins. Last year I was at the retreat in Ganges, and they have a small makeshift bookshop, a counter basically. And there I found this book I had never seen anywhere. It's just called Notes and Reflections. It's a booklet, Swami Yogeshananda. And I never knew that he had published such a book. It was going for $1, and there are only 2 or 3 copies left. So I got a copy, and at the very beginning, the second point, it's just points, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. The second point was, other than you, there is no God, nor is there any sentient being. It doesn't translate well in English. Other than you, there is no Ishvara, there is no Jiva. We consider ourselves to be Jivas, sentient beings, ordinary individuals. So obviously I am an individual. Other than me, I'm not, there's no individual. But other than you, there are no individuals, and there's no God either. And then he writes, to understand this, go to the 15th chapter of the Ashtavakra and work your way from 4th verse to the 16th verse. This is what he quoted is from the 16th verse. So go back to the 4th verse of the 15th chapter, and then you work your way back. So I did that. I looked at it. I had read it earlier, but I noticed it's a really powerful sequence, extraordinarily powerful book, and in that there's this extraordinary sequence. So I did a retreat on this at our Vivekananda retreat in Ridgely, upstate New York. And then again I spoke about it yesterday at Santa Barbara, but only briefly because there was only a short talk. So I had to rush through it. But here we'll take our time and dwell on it. So that's what we will do now, and in the evening, and tomorrow again in the evening. The talk in the morning is different. It's a separate subject. But three times we will sit with this. Ashtavakra, many of us have heard. If you have not, run out and get a copy. It's the ultimate text for non-dual Vedanta. Advaita Vedanta, perhaps the highest teaching, Ashtavakra. Advaita Vedanta the source is the Upanishads, which are very ancient spiritual, philosophical teachings you find in the Vedas, the fundamental texts of the Hindus. There, the highest teachings, the final teachings, the ultimate teachings are in the Upanishads. So literally, Upanishads and Vedanta are synonymous. The definition we would memorize when we started learning Vedanta is Vedanta Nama Upanishad Pramanam. The source of spiritual knowledge called Upanishads is Vedanta. So Vedanta and Upanishads are the one and the same thing. And based on the Upanishads, there are many texts which have been written, especially since Shankaracharya, about 1200, 1300 years ago. So Advaita Vedanta, which is the non-dual school of Vedanta, has many, many, many texts. These texts are usually called prakarana. Prakarana texts which are of various sorts. Some of them are introductory. So if you read them, like Vedanta Sara or Tattva Bodha, if you read them, it introduces you to the whole system. It's like a manual of definitions. There are others which are shorter texts which take up one aspect or the other aspect, one or the other aspect of non-dual Vedanta and introduce us to it. There are other books which are based on dialectics, reasoning, very intricate, subtle logic. What's the point? The point is this. Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, has to be approached in 3 stages. The first stage is called Shravana. Shravana means to hear, literally to listen. More accurately, it's not just listening, it's studying. It's studying. So systematically studying Vedanta with the help of a teacher, the texts, and I want to learn Vedanta, not just for learning it, it's for enlightenment. So the first stage would be systematically studying the texts with the help of a teacher, listening, Shravana. And at the end of this, we are expected to have a clear idea of what the teaching is. And the teaching can be summarized very simply. The teaching of Advaita Vedanta, luckily, in spite of the vast ocean of texts, so many teachers over the thousands of years, it's actually, the teaching is very simple, very direct. That thou art. You are that absolute reality. There's an absolute reality of which the universe is an appearance. And if we would know this, all our problems would be solved, or rather transcended. And so that absolute reality, you are. Tat Tvamasi. And you realize that I am Brahman. The ultimate reality is called Brahman. Brahman literally means the limitless, the vast. So this is the summary of the entire teaching. I am Brahman. I means not just me. Any one of us, we can make the same realization. We can have the same realization. I am Brahman. Once we realize that all these texts are teaching us this, we have completed the first stage, that is listening or studying the text. We now know. If you say, okay, now I know, I heard you, I am Brahman, so I need not study the text anymore. No, it doesn't work that way. You just heard that I am Brahman, that's not completing the first stage. If I give you the texts and show me how all of it boils down to I am Brahman, so that's the mastery. There's a whole rather intricate and detailed procedure for studying and assimilating and absorbing the texts, all of it which culminates with the clarity that these texts are telling me I am the absolute reality. Now what happens? Well, now I know what the teaching is, but now I have many questions. I have many doubts and questions. It's not that at the end of all our studies we'll have questions. As we study, we'll have questions. As we go into it. I mean, don't mystify this process. Just think of joining maybe UCLA and taking a course. What do? We go to a class, we get the textbooks, we study the material, we attend the lectures of the professor, and as we go along, we start assimilating and we have questions, and we ask the questions, we struggle with the material. So it's like that. It's no different from that. It's not that you have to study Upanishads for 10 years and then 10 years spend asking questions, making a nuisance of yourself, and then, no. So it goes on together. So second phase is called mananam. Mananam means literally reasoning, thinking, cogitation. What I have studied, now I try to understand. At the end of the first phase, I can say, I know what the texts are telling me. At the end of the second phase, I should be able to say, not only do I know what the teaching is, not only do I know what the texts are telling me, but I understand it. I am convinced. My questions have been answered. I know it, and I believe it. I'm convinced about it. This is right. And again, this is also a gradual process. Now, what else remains? There will remain a kind of feeling that I have learned it as a philosophy, as something which is very nice, very intelligent, very cool, deep, profound. But there still remains a big question. You promised that my suffering would be at an end. I would transcend suffering, attain fulfillment by this teaching. I have not. Vedanta has not delivered. It's interesting, it's clever, it's profound, but I have still problems. It's not real to me in life. It's not delivering the results it promised. We will say it's still somehow intellectual. People say that. At that stage, the teaching has to be assimilated. And so there is a process called nididhyasana, meditation. Somewhat like yogic meditation, and again somewhat different. So what do? I have studied it. I know the system. I have understood it. I have reasoned it out with the help of teachers and texts and so on. And finally now I need to make it real for me. For that, Vedanta says you dwell on the teaching. What you have studied, what you have understood, stay with it. Stay with it. Absorb it. I like the cooking example. After everything is done, everything is boiled and stewed and everything, and then you don't take it immediately off the fire. You just turn down the heat and put a lid on it. Let it simmer, let it marinate. You call it marinating. It absorbs the spices and so on. So it's well done. In the same way, it's done, but you stay with it. And for a long period of time, you go over and stay with the conclusions which you have studied, which we know now, which we are clear about, we are convinced about. Now stay with it, intensely focus on it, stay with it. That is called Vedantic Nididhyasana. Why am I telling you this? There are texts which are the Upanishads are for Shravana, for the primary teaching. And there are many, many books based on the Upanishads which introduce us to the teaching. There are very, very dialectical, argumentative texts full of subtle reasoning, which correspond to the second stage. Very difficult. Ashtavakra is not difficult in that sense. The language is simple. There are no arguments. Ashtavakra does not, there's no philosophical argument, no debate, nothing. If you're looking for clever philosophy and logic, no. So that's the second stage. There are books like Advaita Siddhi, Chit Sukhi, Khandana Khanda Khadya, and so on. Extraordinary books. And really those books you need a proper teacher to study them. It's almost impossible to study it yourself. Ashtavakra corresponds to the third stage. The third stage is Nididhyasana, where only one thing is there. The whole book from beginning to end, there is only one thing. The conclusion, you are Brahman. Come on in, there's space here. Just walk down the aisle, there's space here. There is only one thing in this book. The central teaching of Advaita Vedanta, you are Brahman. There's space here. Come. Yes. That you are Brahman. That is stated again and again and again. Our attention is drawn. What's the meaning of stating this again in 100, in 1,000 different ways? Our attention is drawn to this fact about ourselves, so that it helps us to dwell on this truth. If you read this book slowly, absorb it, marinate in it, it is equal to the deepest Vedantic meditation, this book. That's how you're supposed to absorb it, one verse at a time. By the way, though I said there is a development of thought, there really isn't. You open the book at any point, you will see the same teaching coming. It's set at a very high tone, and from beginning to end, it's just that. Byrom, B-I-R-O-M, he translated it, the heart of awareness. That's the best English translation, I feel. It's not precise. If you want a precise translation, the book which we have, Nitya Swarupananda, which is available here, that's a very precise translation. But Byrom, he was a professor of English literature, and he had deep insight. If you read the introduction, it's a very lucid, luminous introduction to the book. His translation, he's got the spirit of the book. He's got the spirit of the book. In his introduction, he says, after all the texts, all the scriptures, all the philosophers have fallen silent. After all the religious texts have had their say and they have fallen silent, Ashtavakra begins. And he says the words are so luminous, it seems they appear on paper and just for an instant and disappear back into the infinite from where they had come. Really, if you want to speak about the highest truth, which cannot be spoken about, this is the last thing that can be said. After this, there is only silence. So this is the kind of book. I always say that when you study this, you study it with certain cautions. It's very powerful medicine. So the side effects are equally powerful. When we go into this, if you do not understand, good, you're safe. If you do understand, there are certain things to be careful about. Do not abandon your spiritual practices. I have actually seen this. People in the high Himalayas, the gentleman who used to stay in a hut next to mine, who was filled with, irritation on his spiritual teacher. Why did he not tell me? He would say, Asli baat to yahan hai. This is the real thing. Why did my teacher not tell me? He's just worshipping the tulsi plant and keeping Ekadashi fast and chanting the Gita. I said, your teacher, does he know about this book? Yes, I got it from him. So do you think he has understood this book? Yes, I think so. And after that, he's doing all this Ekadashi fasting on the on auspicious days and the worshipping the tulsi plant. He scratched his head and said, "Baat to aap sahi keh rahe hain. You are telling the truth." Yeah. So never abandon your spiritual practices. You are asking for serious trouble if you do. I am Brahman. Why should I do any spiritual practice? No. I was reading a teaching of a very senior Tibetan Lama, was talking about highest realizations in Dzogchen Buddhism, which is the teaching of the Dalai Lama. But equally, I was struck. Oh, what is the process for the highest teaching of Tibetan Buddhism? He says, hearing, reasoning, meditation. Oh, how nice. And then he said something which I have sort of adapted into when I teach these high texts of high non-duality. I always say this, but it's from a Tibetan tradition. He said, these are instructions for advanced students. So I say, these are instructions for advanced students of non-duality. What are the instructions? Though you and your guru are the one and the same reality, we are all the same reality, continue with the highest reverence with your guru. Yet practice highest reverence for your guru. Though you have reached that understanding which is beyond virtue and vice, carefully hold on to the virtues. Though you are beyond the fear of hell, I'm using their language, you're beyond the fear of hell now, carefully shun all evil. Though it is the same reality, in a crowd, in a cave, in a mountain, in a forest, yet seek out retreats and solitary places and holy places. And these are instructions for not beginners, for the advanced student. All right. So I hope I've scared you enough. One more caution is for those who have the misfortune, or I'm joking, of understanding. Sometimes they're filled with contempt for everything else. Oh, all that is kindergarten. Now I've got the real thing. Never be filled with contempt for others. We have benefited from all practices and we will continue to benefit from all practices, and they are all very good. That is, in Hindi, one teacher in the Himalayas said, "Ye to kacche Advaiti kehte hain." It is the unripe non-dualists who start criticizing, prayer and temples and rituals. No. All right. Now, what do we find? Those who have the book or rather, let all of us, you can follow me in chanting. I'll follow Swami Sarvapriyananda, go to the 15th chapter and start with the 4th verse and work our way upwards. After the 15th chapter. 15th chapter. I'll chant and please repeat after me and I'll translate and then we will dwell on it. What I'll expect here, if you can do this, the way to study Ashtavakra is a little different from studying other texts. Of course, ask yourself the 3 cardinal questions. Did I hear what was said? Do I know what was said? Earlier, the traditional monks would make the students memorize all the verses in Sanskrit. I won't do that, don't worry. I can see people looking for the exit. No, but at least in my own words, this is basically what was said. Number 1, then done, check. Number 2, do I understand what was said? Check. And number 3, is it real? Is it real? Is it real for me? If you can say that, and Ashtavakra says it should be possible at any moment. Right now it should be possible. And if you can actually say that and check that box, you're enlightened. But the way to do Ashtavakra is to check with your own experience. What Ashtavakra is claiming, if we're going to see, is true right now. So not only hear the teaching, not only try to understand what was said, but try to see. Let us try to see in our own experience, check with our own experience to see whether it is true right now, whether it was true always and will always be true. Whatever he says here is an accomplished fact, eternally true, always true now and forever. Just that we don't recognize it, just that we don't see it. And all Ashtavakra wants us to do, he doesn't want us to do some practice. He doesn't want us to go anywhere, believe in something. No. He just wants us to see something. Perhaps the most important fact about ourselves, which we have always been missing. So just that. And the way to see it is, we'll do it that way. I will speak. Try to check with your own experience. You may want to close your eyes and be there. Don't worry, you won't miss anything. Don't fall asleep. If you're falling asleep, open your eyes. But if you feel drawn inwards, then just happily close your eyes and be there in that stillness. Don't worry, when you open your eyes and bring your attention back to what is being taught, you will see the same thing is being taught. Nothing new is being taught. All right. Check with your own experience. Stay there if you can. 4th verse. Natvam deho nate deho. Natvam deho nate deho. Bhokta karta nava bhavan. Bhokta karta nava bhavan. Chidruposi sada sakshi. Chidruposi sada sakshi. Nirapeksha sukham chara. Nirapeksha sukham chara. He says, Natvam deha, you are not the body. Neither is the body yours. Nate deha. Na bhokta. You are not the experiencer. Bhokta means the one who enjoys and suffers. You are not the experiencer, not the enjoyer or the one who suffers. Na karta, the one who does. Karta means the agent of action. You are not even the doer. You see, the most fundamental facts of our experience about ourselves. I am this thing. And you say, where are you? Here. What are you? This. We think of ourselves as the experiencing awareness, as this being who is experiencing pleasure and pain. And the person who does action and gets the results of actions. This is what we think of ourselves. He says, you are none of them. Bhavan, sir, you are none of them. Chidruposi. What are you then? You are of the nature of pure consciousness. You are pure awareness. You are pure consciousness. When? After death? In heaven? In Brahmaloka? No, now. After enlightenment I will be. Right now I am a body. No. Now you are pure consciousness. Here you are pure consciousness. Sada Sakshi. Ever the witness. Never the witnessed. We'll see. Or we will dwell on each of them. Nirapeksha sukham chara. Freely, independently, not depending on anything else. Live your life happily. Literally, chara means to interact with the world, move around in the world. It's not that you have to withdraw being a monk or remain in samadhi. You can be in samadhi, can be a monk, or you can be fully engaged in action. Remember, the student, the teacher is the monk of monks, Ashtavakra. And the student is an emperor. Janaka. Totally involved in the activities of the world. Very busy man. So, sukham chara, happily be engaged in the world. We will dwell on this for a while. Natvam deho. You're not the body. Now, Ashtavakra just states the conclusion. We have to see that we are not the body. Why am I not the body? How am I not the body? Here is the body undeniably. How am I not it? So I will share some pointers from other texts, more preliminary texts of Vedanta, which Ashtavakra sort of takes for granted. And we will try to see that we are not the body. Notice in all our experiences, we see things, perceptions. We see, hear, smell, taste, touch. All of these together are called perceptions. Right? We have so many perceptions. I perceive so many things. Yet, I am not a perception. I think about so many things. Yet, I am not a thought. This is called Drigdrishya Viveka. This pointer. How do you use this? This is used to see that I am not the body. This is how it works. Whatever I experience is an object of my experience. And I, the experiencer, must be different from the object of my experience. Here is a cup of water. Here is a cup of water. And we all see the cup of water. I see this cup of water, the eyes are the seer and the cup is the seen. Clearly the two are different. Different means, literally, in the most simple sense, here is the cup, here are the eyes. They're two different entities. In fact, the eyes can only see things which are different from the eyes. The eyes cannot see themselves. No. What you see in the mirror is not the eyes seeing themselves, it's a reflection. And what you see, if you see a selfie, it's a picture of your eyes. You're not seeing the eyes. Eyes seeing, those are the doubts. I'm not a telepath, but these are normal doubts. I could hear it literally going through the mind. I can see my eyes. No, you're seeing a reflection of your eyes. You're seeing a picture of your eyes. Then the eyes, so the eyes are the seer and the cup is the seen. They're different. Now, the eyes themselves are seen within quotes. They are experienced. My eyes are open, my eyes are closed, I can't see too well, I need glasses, so on and so forth. So the eyes are experienced, are known. We can keep on saying are seen. Then what is the seer of the eyes? The mind. The mind. With the mind thinks about the conditions of the eyes. So the mind is the seer and the eyes are the seen. Seer and seen are different. So the mind and the eyes are different. Someone not convinced. If they were not different, then why do you go to an ophthalmologist and to your therapist? Therapist for mind, an ophthalmologist for eyes. They're different entities, entirely different. The mind is the seer and the eyes are seen. By the way, at the end we will have Q&A, and in the first session is foundational. We'll have some Q&A at the end, and in the next session, more Q&A. So if you think you have got questions, and very good, you're most welcome. We will discuss them. But at the end, the last 10 minutes, we will do a little bit of Q&A. So the mind is the seer and the eyes are the seen. Why only the eyes? The skin and the nose and the ears, all the sense organs, indeed the entire body is experienced, seen, within quotes, by the mind. The mind thinks about the body, is aware of the body. So mind and body are different. The mind itself is seen, is it not? We are aware, I am happy. I am not so happy. I understand. I don't get it. I'm trying to remember. It's on the tip of my tongue. I cannot recall. These are all things going on in the mind. Memory, intellect, emotions. And we all directly experience them. That which directly experiences the mind within us, can we call it the witness of the mind? If we call it the witness of the mind, Sakshi, it must be different from the mind. Why? Because it knows the mind. It illumines the mind. So I am the awareness in which thoughts, feelings, perceptions, memories, desires, they arise and are noted, illumined, and they disappear. Which one am I? Which one am I? Always notice, you always identify with the seer, not the seen. No? When I say, I am seeing the cup, where am I? There or here? Here. I am here. When I say, I am aware of my eyes, opening and closing, where am I? Am I the eyes or behind? Somewhere there. Always there. I am always identifying with the seer, not the seen. Correct? So if the ultimate seer is the Sakshi, the witness of the mind, then I am that awareness, which is the witness of the mind. In that awareness, thoughts come and go. Thoughts are objects. Subtle objects. These are physical objects. In Sanskrit, sthula, vishaya. In English, we have always translated as gross objects, but gross has a different meaning now in American English. Though gross objects can be gross. But they are physical. They occupy space. They have mass. So these are physical objects. And there are subtle objects. The objects in our minds. Thoughts, feelings, emotions. Why am I calling them objects? Because they are experienced. Very neat, elegant definition of an object. If you are aware of it, if you know it, if you experience it, it is an object. The very designation, it, that, designates objects. Objects to what? To you, the awareness, the witness. Why am I calling witness the awareness? Because obviously whatever the witness is, it must be aware because it is experiencing. All of it is noted in that awareness. So we are the witness awareness, and all of these are objects. You experience thoughts, but you are not a thought. You are not a thought. You are the awareness of thoughts. You experience the body. It's an object, but you are not the body. Why? Because you are the experiencer of the body. This is called Drig Drishya Viveka. Very neatly, it divides you, the awareness, from everything else, which is an object to you, the awareness. Do you know it? Do you see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it? Yes, then you cannot be it. And the body is clearly known. We see it. You can hear it when the tummy rumbles. Yeah. And sometimes if it's hot and muggy, as it is in New York, you can even smell it. Yeah. So all the sense organs easily operate on the body. It's an object to the knowing mind. The mind is also an object to the knowing awareness. Now, which is the seer? If somebody may ask, you just said the eye is the seer, and then the mind is the seer of the eye, and the witness is the seer of the... How many seers do we have? There's only one. You, the awareness, the witness. The witness of the mind is the only seer, is the only knower, is the only experiencer. With the mind, it can experience thoughts, feelings, emotions. With the mind and the sensory system, it can actually see and hear and smell and taste. Ultimately, there is only one experiencer, which you are. But you are an experiencer along with the sensory system, along with the mind. In itself, the awareness is not an experiencer. It's just like light shining through the void. You are not the body. Why? Straight answer. Because it's an object. To what? To me, the subject. You are the subject of all objects. And among those objects, a primary object is the body. So this is one pointer. Very powerful when you think about it. Very elegant, very powerful. You can directly see for yourself. It's an accomplished fact. Will my body become an object when I do a lot of spiritual practice, after a lot of prayer and meditation? No. Right now. And always was. For all the people out there in Los Angeles who have never attended a single Vedanta class, The body is still an object. It's just that you're not aware of this fact. And we take the body to be a subject, us. One pointer. I'll give you two more. Which none of them, by the way, Ashtavakra ever bothers to mention, because it's too easy for him. Second, consciousness, awareness. The first one was seer and seen, distinction between seer and seen. In Sanskrit, drigdrishya viveka. Drik drishya. The second pointer is chit jada, consciousness. See, the English words are inadequate. The closest are sentience and insentient. Sentient and insentient. Aware and not aware. Or even more precisely, aware and that which you are aware of. First pointer was seer and seen. Now I am saying that which has awareness and that which does not have awareness. You are that which has awareness. And the body is that which does not have awareness. It's related to the first one. If you have questions, think about it, ask me later. But it's different. It's a subtly different approach. Another very powerful approach, really powerful approach. How does this work? I'll ask you a question. Are you aware of the body, or is the body aware of you? To make the question more clear, is this gentleman in New York, Greg Good. He's a psychologist, a therapist. Yes, New York is famous for therapists. But he's a non-dualist therapist. So he uses Advaita Vedanta, he incorporates it into his counseling. So he invented this nice method. He says, just look at your hand and now let us check our experience. What does it feel like? Does it feel like I am aware of the hand, or does it feel like the hand is aware of me? No, that would be creepy. If the hand says, hello, how are you doing? No. Look at our own experience, the quality of our own experience. It's clearly, I am aware of the hand. You'll say, so what? I am aware of the hand. The hand is an object to my awareness. It is not aware, I am aware. This is the pointer. So, that's true of this hand also? Yes. It's true of my legs and my tummy and my chest and my head. In fact, the body is a collection of parts. True or not? Like the hand. Each of which I am aware of. And they are not aware of me. None of the parts of the body are aware of me, whatever I am. I am aware of them, should I choose to be. Therefore, I am awareness, or awareness is on my side, and the body is not aware. I am aware of the body. Related question, one may ask that, but the body feels aware. This one does not feel aware, but I feel aware all over the body. That's because Vedanta explains it. You, the awareness, your light, your awareness is borrowed by the mind. The mind, the subtle body, has the capacity of borrowing consciousness. Just like water can reflect, can form an image of the sun. Similarly, you, the Atman or consciousness, you are reflected in the mind. The mind feels conscious, and then the entire sensory system is lit up by awareness, and then the body feels, wherever the nerves are functioning, up to that extent the body feels aware. So that's because of the mind which is filled with awareness, and the mind gets awareness from you, the awareness. Anyway, so that's just a side issue. Every bit of the body is not aware of me, I am aware of the body. I am of the nature of awareness, body is not the nature of awareness. Chit, jara, and the two cannot be the same. Aware and not aware cannot be the same. Just as earlier, seer and seen cannot be the same. Because seer and seen cannot be the same, I am not the body. I am the seer of the body. Because awareness and not awareness cannot be the same, I am not the body. I am awareness and the body is not awareness. It's not aware. What about the mind? Mind seems aware. The mind seems aware of itself. You can introspect. My mind seems aware of things in the world. You can be aware of things in the world. So, is the mind not aware? Mind seems to be aware, but just a simple exercise, very powerful exercise. Take any movement of the mind, any thought, any idea, any memory. When you say any, people will say, Swami, mind goes blank. It's usually full of thoughts. When I try to say, hey mind, give me a thought, nothing, blank. Most uncooperative entity, mind. All right, even that blankness, are you not aware of it? let me ask you, is the blankness aware of you? No. Think a thought. I am in Vedanta class. It's a thought. I am in Vedanta class. Now, are we aware of I am in Vedanta class? Or is I am in Vedanta class aware of me? You're laughing because it's such a ridiculous question. When you put it that way, it's so obvious. We are aware of our thoughts. Our thoughts are not aware of us. Awareness is on our side, not on the side of the thought. Yes. Therefore, that which is aware and that which is not aware, the two cannot be the same. Hence, I cannot be the body, nor can I be the mind. One more pointer and then I'm done. What are we discussing here? Ashtavakra said, you are not the body. That's what we are discussing. How am I not the body? The third pointer which helps us to recognize this is that we have a sense of identity from our childhood till now. The body has changed so much. You just have to look at your baby pictures. I'm sure your mom is proudly showing them and you feel embarrassed. But that baby, I know I am that. I was there. Though it looks so different from me. And the little boy's picture or the little girl's picture and the teenager and the young person and the middle-aged person and the senior person, the body is so different and changing. Irrevocably. It's changing. Yeah. And yet I know in these very different appearances of the body, I was there. I have to admit. What is this unchanging awareness in a changing body? The unchanging sense of identity in a changing body, the changing and the unchanging cannot be the same thing. So the unchanging identity through the different stages of the body's life. See, I'm saying not my life, the body's life. Through all those changes, the unchanging identity, I cannot be the same as the changing body. How can unchanging and changing be the same thing? Therefore, I'm not the body. Put them together, these are all different. There are many, many, many more pointers like that. But let's see. Drigdrishya, drishyatvat naham deha. Because it's an object, hence I cannot be the body. Jadatvat naham deha. Because it is insentient, not aware. I am aware of it. I cannot be the body. Why not? Because awareness, not same. Savikara nirvikara. Savikara means with change, with modification. The body is continuously changing. We talk about sixfold changes of the body. Birth and coming into existence and growing and maturing and then beginning to degenerate, aging and then dying. Sixfold changes. And I identify with each of them. So I, the unchanging, and the body, the changing, cannot be the same. Savikara, nirvikara, cannot be the same. Because of these reasons, I am not the body. You say, yeah, by now I'm convinced. Move on. Actually when you push people to it, they will say most grown-up, educated, sensitive, thinking people, we talk and behave as if we're the body, but we really, when we put our minds to it, we know we are not exactly the body, but the body is mine. Yeah, I understand. I feel like I am a conscious being in the body. But clearly the body is mine. Ashtavakra says the body is not yours. One teacher in the Himalayas, very humorously was teaching. Body is mine. Really? Did you make it? Did you make it? No. Not even your parents made it. It's nature which makes the body. Okay. Do you own it? If a cop pulls you over and show me the papers, not to the car, to the body. How do I know it's your body? I don't have papers for it. I remember in the high Himalayas, I was there, and at that time they were surveying Gangotri. The government was getting organized. Not always a good thing, government getting organized. And the poor monks, one monk, there were people turning up at the huts and the caves. Show me the papers to the cave. How do I get papers to the cave? But that's not the way bureaucracy functions. Do you have papers? Because our computer, they have to turn up with a laptop, computer farm. Do you have papers or not? No? Then you don't own it. You're illegal occupant. There is no option for monk. One monk came and said, this is such a big headache. I've never heard of such a thing. I found a cave and sat down and have been meditating there for 18 years. Now, there is no box. They say there's no box for that. I found a cave and said, I've been meditating in 18 years. Nothing like that. Where are the papers to your body? No papers? Okay. Didn't make it? Don't have papers? Did somebody gift it to you? I will you this body. No. Do you own the materials out of which it is made? The earth and the fire and the water, or the 150 odd elements of the periodic table. Do you own them? Because there's another way of establishing ownership. I own the materials out of which this thing is made. Do I own them? Shiva Maharaj here tells a very nice story about the scientist who said to the religious man, to the preacher, "Hey preacher, we have now discovered how to make life in the laboratory." And the preacher said, "Will you show me?" "Yes, come over." And so they went to the laboratory. And the scientist says, "First take a little bit of earth." And the preacher says, "Get your own earth." Whose earth made by? It's not made by you. Do you own the materials? No. It wasn't gifted to you. You don't own the materials. You did not make it. This looks worse, very bad for you. You've been claiming all this way. Illegal tenant in this body. Very bad. All right. Does it obey you? Is it in your control? No. People are saying, no. It seems to be. I can raise my hand if I want to. One little stroke somewhere there, and all the wanting in the world will not work. No. The body seems to obey me only because it's its own sweet will. Because nature has designed it in such a way, it responds. But one little, there's so many doctors here, one little problem somewhere in the entire nervous system, at any stage, and that's it. The body will not listen to me. Will it stop aging? No. Disease, health, illness, none of it. None of it comes by our will. And finally, death. Not one moment. Who amongst us can add one day to our lives, no matter how much we want it? No. It does not listen to me. Can you run the body? No. We can do a few functions. But if suddenly nature said, okay, all right, buddy, you take the wheel. All the thousands of processes going on, the digestion and the heartbeat and the neurons functioning and the enzymes being produced, the liver doing its thing, the kidneys doing their thing, the brain, extraordinary complex systems working all the time, day in and out, minute to minute, second to second. If they are suddenly handed the charge, do all of it now. You wouldn't even have time for the 911 to arrive here. Gone. What did he do? He took charge of his body. Finished. There's an extraordinary intelligence behind the body. Doctors say that. One of my friends who was a monk, he became a doctor, and he said, I remember one of our early days in the medical college, the professor came into the class. He was talking about the cross-section of the human liver. Cross-section, he's describing that. He says, look at the cross-section of the human liver and tell me there is no God. It could be heart, anything, any of the complex organs. So he says, I find this is extraordinary. Extraordinary intelligence working in the body. We don't run it. You don't run it, you don't own it. You don't have the papers for it. It was not gifted to you. You did not make it. How is it yours? What cheek? The Jewish people in New York would say chutzpah. What cheek to say, the sheer gall to say that it is your body, it's my body. No, in no way is it our body. You are not the body, it is not your body. And therefore, if I am not the owner and the operator of this body-mind system, I, the consciousness by myself, by itself, as I said, it's not an experiencer, nor a doer. Yes, what Ashtavakra does not mention, but what he means is, then who is the experiencer? Who is the doer? Who is sitting here and seeing? It is you, the awareness. Understand this carefully. You, the awareness, by yourself, you are not a seer or a hearer or a smeller or a taster or toucher or thinker. No. But you, the awareness, in conjunction with a mind. It's like You are not a driver by nature. But if you have a car and you're driving it, then you are a driver. In conjunction with the car when you are behind the wheel, yes, you are the driver. In conjunction with a body, with a mind, yes, now you are the experiencer and the doer. But in itself, you are not by yourself. In your own nature, you are not a doer, not a experiencer. Na karta, na bhokta. Then what am I? What am I? I am pure consciousness, chidruposi, of the nature of awareness. Just like that, do you have to believe it? No, let us check with our own experience. The one thing that is common in all my life and has been common throughout and is there right now is that I am aware. Is that I am aware. So this awareness I am, we actually covered 2 verses. The second one also we have done. It's about the mind. So I am not the body, and the 5th verse says I am not the mind. Let's just do that, and we'll take 1 or 2 questions. 5th verse. Please repeat after me. Raga dvesho mano dharmo, raga dvesho mano dharmo, namanaste kadachana, namanaste kadachana, nirvikalposi bodhatma, nirvikalposi bodhatma, nirvikara sukham chara, nirvikara sukham chara. Likes and dislikes are characteristics of the mind, not yours. Not just likes and dislikes, thoughts, feelings, perceptions, ideas, memories, desires, our own story, our personal story, our biodata, our little tale of woes and hopes. It's in the mind. It's in the mind. Every night when you go to deep sleep, forget. One touch of Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, forget, gone. It's in the mind. Yeah, but my mind, right? Na manaste kadachana. It's not in yours, it's the mind's, and the mind is not yours also. Same logic which applies to the body applies to the mind. Nirvikalposi bodhatma. You are beyond all thought constructs. Whatever you can think about, you are not it. Then what are you? Bodhatma, of the nature of awareness. Atma means the self. The self, what kind of self is it? Is it a bodily self? Is it a mental self? Is it a personality? None of them. Although they all appear. They are all appearing to you. But you in yourself, you're not a body, not a mind, not even a person. You are of the nature of awareness. Nirvikara sukham chara. What follows? Happily live your life and be engaged in life. So this is what we have got so far. Is this what Ashtavakra wants to teach us? No. Notice that he has, we'll see in the next class. This is still duality. This is still duality. I am the witness and there is the witnessed. See, what has happened till now is that we all experience the world as subjects and objects. I am a subject and all of these are objects for me. Only thing is, before Vedanta, my subjecthood extends to the body-mind. Now what Ashtavakra has done is pointed out that the body is also an object. It's pushed into the realm of objects. I am a subject to the body and of course to the entire universe. All of it is, including body and mind and thoughts and the personality, they are all objects. But still duality, subject-object duality is there. One subject, many objects. Not yet non-duality. This is not really what Ashtavakra wants to tell us. For that you have to wait until 7:30. Quickly, I'll do a rapid-fire round of questions for a few minutes.
You can wait for the mic if you...
Mic, all right. Just tell us your name and ask the question, and we'll go there next.
Hi, my name is John. If you're aware that you're not the body and the mind, the universe still seems to exist. How do you transcend that sense that the universe is real?
Right. 7:30. Oh, you have to go? You have to go. All right. But we are all advanced students here, so a little, they say, in India there's a saying, an indication is enough to the wise. So, here's the indication. In the second stage, what will happen is, Ashtavakra will show that the entire world of objects, including body, including mind, and including all that seems to be out there, it is all in awareness. In you, the awareness. First, it seems they are all appearing to me, the awareness. If you look carefully, it's not really to me, it's in me, the awareness. If it's in me, the awareness, is it really apart from me, the awareness? Or is the relationship more like waves in the ocean? The same water is appearing as waves. You, to put it precisely, you, the awareness, you are appearing as the objects. The world, body, people, things, none other than you, the awareness. Now, with the magic of Maya, you seem to be out there experiencing. So, all that you see, the world which seems real, is nothing but you. Just like all the things that we see in a dream, they all seem like objects out there. But when we wake up, they are all projected by the dreamer's mind. Now, not being apart from me, the awareness, not having a separate independent existence apart from me, the awareness, that is what is called the falsity of the world. What is false is not that you experience it. What is false is that they seem to be separate existence apart from you. You are all of it. In that sense, awareness is all, and that all you are. Vivekananda would go even further. All is not, only awareness is. Why? Because what appears to be all is nothing but you, the awareness. Go in peace. Please tell us your name and ask the question.
My name is Maggie. My question is, would you say that these non-dual teachings are a higher teaching than a dualistic, theistic, worship an outside, thinking really loud, a worship of an outside being? Is non-dual a higher or more advanced teaching?
Well, it's an interesting question. In one sense, yes. If I wanted to say higher, I would say it in this way. We often start our spiritual life in a dualistic mode. Where is God and ultimate reality? Obviously, I am not it. So the relationship is for faith and worship and love. And is that correct? Absolutely, 100%. Because it's not imagination, it's there. But I'm relating to it as an object. Then, a little further, is it a separate object apart from me, or do we share in the divinity? We are parts of one divine whole. This is one more step ahead. And this part and whole, this difference, that is also erased in one identity of one non-dual awareness. In that sense, there seems to be a progression. In what sense is it not a higher teaching? Sri Ramakrishna in one place seems to say that, he says that very clearly, tie the knowledge of non-duality to the hem of your cloth. In India, in villages, women who wear saris would tie the keys to the household to the hem of their cloth. Like it's the most important thing, it controls everything, it's the basis of the functioning of the house. So she would tie the bunch of keys to the hem of their cloth, and then she would go about her business and using it whenever it's necessary. So he would say, tie the knowledge of Advaita, non-duality, to the hem of your cloth. Swami said the American way of putting it would be, put it in your pocket. Put a little bit of non-dualism in your pocket. And then Sri Ramakrishna says, and then do whatever you like. Do whatever you like means go about your business. You can worship. On the basis of non-duality, you can be a bhakta, a devotee. On the basis of non-duality, you can be a great worker, like the Emperor Janaka, and engaged in service. On the basis of non-duality, you can actually, if you want, you can withdraw from the entire thing and be absorbed in the limitless infinite, like Ramana Maharshi or somebody like that. In that sense, Advaita can be seen as basic too, as fundamental. I see it as fundamental. I mean, I'll put it this way. The teachings of Advaita, for me, they constitute proof of the reality of dualistic religions. The dualist would not agree, but I say Don't be against Advaita. One of the highest Advaita texts, Mandukya Karika, says, dualistic religions, theistic religions, they are against one another. They fight and they are in conflict with each other. This teaching, the non-dual teaching, has no conflict with them. Mandukya Karika. Tairayam na virudhyate. It not only has no conflict with them, I'll go one step further. It is the foundation. It is a foundation. And I'm not the only one who's saying it. I'll give you one example and stop there. It's supposed to be a rapid fire round, but the questions are so good. Hart. Bentley Hart. David Bentley Hart. He is a Christian theologian, Eastern Orthodox Church, based in England, I think, I'm not very sure, or here in USA. He's written a book, The Experience of God, Being, Consciousness, Bliss. And there he says, it's a polemic against the new atheists, the Christopher Hitchens and Richard Dawkins and so on, so Sam Harris. He says they are attacking a straw man. You attack the theistic religions, various pastors and rabbis, usually pastors and rabbis, theologians, and knock them over and make fun of them. You're attacking a straw man. If you really want to have a serious discussion with religion, he says, David Bentley Hart, talk to the experts. Talk to the highest presentation of religion. And he said, if I wanted to know about science, I wouldn't go to a kindergarten or a grade school student. I would talk to a scientist. What is the highest presentation of religion? All right, what is that? He says, the names of his chapter are, the chapters in the book. One chapter is Sat, pure being. That's the name, the Sanskrit word Sat. The second chapter is Chit, pure consciousness. And third chapter is Ananda. And he says, this is the formulation from the Hindu Vedantic tradition, where it is most clearly set out. But he says, this idea, this is foundational in all even the great monotheistic faiths, the Abrahamic traditions also. You will find these ideas there also. Sometimes marginalized, sometimes not taken as foundational. But he says, if you really want to argue, this is the best presentation of religion that I can give, that religions of the world can give. Aldous Huxley, the perennial philosophy, you see, that's where he begins. The foundational ground, the foundations of religion are strong when they are non-dual. Last question. Yes.
Yes, my name is Lisa, and it's an honor. I was diagnosed with cancer twice this year, and I understand I am not the body, and I am not the mind, but how do I hold on to that while I'm dealing with the pain and the suffering of that? It seems to be the truest test.
Yes, it is the truest test. And it is not so easy at all. It's easy to say these things, but when you are actually confronted with that, small problems, you can dismiss it. You can actually use this knowledge to tackle small problems, but serious, life-threatening, physical trauma, mental problems, trauma, illness, despair, depression, very difficult to deal with. In those cases, a whole comprehensive course of treatment. See, if you are enlightened, if we clearly see this is true, not just believe it, clearly see, then you know what we will see? We will see not only is the body an object, but the problem, the tumor in the body, the disease, it's also an object, I'm aware of it. And the pain and the discomfort is also an object. In Upadesha Sahasri, Shankaracharya's a book written by Shankaracharya, when he says these things, the student objects. The student says, but when the hand is burnt, it hurts. If I'm not the body, okay, I'm not the body, it's an object. But then why do I feel the pain in the body? Shankara says, wait a minute. Think carefully. Are you aware of the pain? Of course I am. Ouch. If you're aware of the pain, use the same logic which we had used. Is it not true? It's an object to your awareness, an unpleasant object, a very painful object. That sensation of burning. It's also an object. You were there before the pain. You are there during the pain. And you will be there after the pain. You were there before all these experiences, they come and go. Nirvikara, savikara, ever changing. So many things have come and gone. I am the same awareness. Take it for not just her, but all of us. We have been there earlier, we are here now, and one day inevitably this body will go for all of us. I'll make you a promise. You can hold me to it. You will notice, hey, the Swami said I would be here, and here I am. The body is gone. So he's right. I am still here. Yes. So, do stay in the body until 7:30 at least. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanam Astu.